So here we're talking about partial ratios and how we're going to use these ratios. So when we want to know the ratio of how two quantities are related and the size amount of one of them, we can solve for a missing value. So this can help find real values in quotations. So first example, the ratio of girls to boys at the birthday is 2 to 5. So this is just how they're related, right? So no matter how big or small this birthday got, it'd still be in that ratio. Okay? So that means technically that is the smallest amount of people could be 7, right? So that's when there's only 2 girls and 5 boys because we can't have partial people. So when I said real values before, when we actually say that there are 10 girls, how many boys are going to be? So that's actually kind of a situation or a real situation. So how exactly are we going to work with this? Well, we work with this by writing the ratio on one line. So every time you're going to write the ratio on one line. So 2 to 5 and the ratio and the values. So here we're doing girls to boys, right? 2 to 5. So now what do we do if there are 10 girls? So we're going to write these 10 girls below, and I'm going to still set it up as a ratio because we're in the ratio section. So how do we go usually from one side to the other? Well, we go from our top to our bottom or left to our right. So here, how do we easily go from 2 to 10? Well, here we can see that we can times by 5 and we can times by 5. So therefore, if we times our left side by 5 to get from 2 to 10, that's why I multiply the right side. So we can see there will be 25 boys. So very bottom, just write 25 boys. So you can see that you have actually answered the question. Okay, so example 2, the ratio of dogs to cats in the Stanic is 3 to 9. So I'm going to put dogs to cats and 3 to 9. If there are 313 dogs, so 313 goes under the dogs, how many cats? So you can put a question mark, you can put an X, whatever you would like to put. So how are we going to do this? Well, I'm actually going to try and think about this, right? So one thing I'm going to recognize is that, well, how exactly, I don't know how to go from 3 to 313 very easily, right? So this I am kind of confused about off the top of my head. But you don't always have to go down. You don't always have to go down. I am actually going to go, there's no reason we can't go left to right. So keep in mind, you can go like we did the previous, or you can go left to right. Because if we notice, we can just go 3 to 9 is easier. That's just times 3. So this way, we can just times by 3 that way. So 313 times 3, that's going to result us in 939. Right? 313 times by 3 is simply 939 cats. So lastly, last example, age of Jordan, so J for Jordan, dad, we'll call him D, are in a ratio of 3 to 5. So 3 to 5. If Jordan is 30, how old is his dad? So, can we go from, this is what I like to check. So just go around. Can we go 3 to 5 easy? Not really. Well, I know what it is, but it's not really easy. It's going to be like a decimal, right? So, what about 3 to 30? Well, yeah, that's times by 10, right? So we we can times this way by 10, and we can figure out 5 times 10 is 50 So Jordan's dad is 50 years. But it doesn't actually say years, so 50, which actually makes sense too. So think about when they're talking about height, when they're talking about ages, stuff like these, think about them, right? If the dad was younger than Jordan, would that make sense? Not really. So, moving on, we have 3 practice problems. So please pause the video at this point. Once you're ready, press play, and then we'll go through the answers. Right, so we're going to do this with M and F for this first. So M, F, male, female, 2 to 3. There's 120 men. How many women? Right? So how can we go either from 2 to 3 or 2 to 120? I'm going to go 2 to 120 because I see that a lot easier. I see that as times by 60. So whereas it's a big number, it's still a relatively easy number because we can do 3 times 6, which is 18, and add on a 0. So we will have 180 women. Next one. Ivan builds 3 times faster than Mason. So that means 3 to 1, right? So every one thing that Mason completes, Ivan will complete 3. So if Ivan completes 39 door frames, how many will Mason complete? Well, 39 to, we don't know. Well, how do we go from 3 to 39? Is it easier than going from 3 to 1? I think so. So we can times by 13 that way, right? Or times by 13 this way. And we can get Mason completes 13. Okay. So the other way, you could divide by 3. So I'll show that in red because this one actually kind of works out nicely with its numbers. So here, we could have divided by 3 and divided by 3, and we would have got 13 still. So it does work both ways. Just pick based on which is the easier maths because mathematicians were lazy. Okay, so Mr. Sadler, Mr. Herndier, and Mr. Adams have different lengths of hair. So looks like we have hair that we're talking about and people. So I'm going to label them S, H, and A. So S, H, and A. And this is in the ratio of 1 to 4 to 3. Mr. Adams' hair is 6. How long is Mr. Herndier's and Mr. Sadler's? So I'm going to actually, instead of just giving him question marks, I'm going to give them variables this time to solve for. So Sadler can be X and Herndier can be Y. So what's an easier way that we can do this? Well, I think going from the top to the bottom value is quite easy because that's just a doubled, right? 3 to 6, we just have to times by 2. So that means that we can times by 2 here and times by 2 here. So in the end, I actually didn't need to really label them X and Y. Sometimes it can help if you have to take them out of the problem and you don't know where they might go back in. But here, 1 times 2, so Sadler hair equals 2 centimeters. And then Herndier's, and I'm just going to use a little trick. So if you put the 2 little ticks underneath, it just means repeat whatever word's above it. Like I said, mathematicians were lazy. So here, Herndeer, that is 4 times 2. So his hair is 8 centimeters long.